All right. And we are live. Hey guys, welcome to the Superhero Cuts podcast where we talk about things Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. It's your boy Stevie Hayes, joined by the best, my boy Jerry. What's up, brother? How are you today, man? What's going
I'm
on?
good, bro. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm alive. We here, man. I'm excited to talk about some a lot. We just have a lot of topics to talk about today. So I'm
Yeah,
hyped. I'm hyped. So happy new year. This is our first episode of the new of 2025. So that's super awesome. I'm pretty sure we did this last year too. So every first episode of the year, we usually go through all of the projects of that year, and we just talk about our anticipation for it, how we feel about it. And so we're going to go through all of the superhero Marvel and DC projects that are coming out this year, and then we are going to talk about our anticipation for each one. And then after that, we got a few new stuff and then some Joker stuff that we want to get into. So with that being said, 2025 is a big year. You and I have talked about that forever about how this is going to be a busy year for us. And obviously, we're starting with Captain America: Brave New World. That's going to be the first superhero movie live action that we see in 2025. So, Jerry, how are you feeling today, right now, about Captain America: Brave New World? And like, what are you expecting to see in this movie?
I am so pumped because, like, we talk about the comic book movie as a genre a lot, but it really isn't a genre. It's a category because we get such a range of movies. We get movies like The Dark Knight, The Batman, Captain America trilogy. And then we also get musicals now, like The Joker 2. And I am excited to have a spy thriller return to the category. I'm going to start referring to it as a category because it's really not a genre.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, most of them are straightforward action movies, but we do get some I guess subject, whatever. I don't know what the words are, but you get what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
And I think this movie looks phenomenal. I think, it's almost similar to Snow White in terms of like what people are kind of losing their mind over. People are losing their minds over Captain America being black. People are losing their mind over an Israeli superhero. And it's like, I think both of those, we've talked about this on the show. It's ridiculous. The movie looks good. And both of the characters are great characters and they come from the comics. One of them is a tenured character in the MCU. It's funny. Actually, I've been reading the Captain America run where Cap dies at the end of Civil War and then Bucky takes the mantle. And I ended up posting about it last night. And I didn't even think of it, but like, dude, I got like a DM like, oh, they should have made. I'm like,
Here we go.
Yeah,
Like,
it's crazy. Like, it's just,
yeah.
I read a ton of comics, so like I was just like sharing it. I love the story of Bucky becoming Cap. It's fire, but like I also love Sam Wilson as a character. And by the way, Sam Wilson also becomes Captain America in the comics, and I think it's also a harder sell for the MCU to sell Bucky becoming Cap, considering what we've seen Bucky do in the MCU. And Sam Wilson, he's got no flaws in his record. He's never done anything like that. So, I'm pumped for this movie. I think it's going to be great. I just hope the snowflakes don't lose their mind over it because I've just had it with them. They're so, it's just so ridiculous.
I have given some thought to Bucky becoming Cap, right? And I did think of it as like kind of looking back on the Infinity Saga, it would have been something that they had to build up to, like in Civil War and also in both Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, they would have had to build some type of redemption arc where Bucky would have had to be a prominent figure in order for the mantle to be passed on for fans to kind of like understand it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at this point, you're right. Sam has no dashes on his record at all. And out of all people, he's the one that stuck with Steve to the end. And so there was no one else at that point that deserved the shield other than him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like it's like, come on, guys, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then Anthony Mackie is just great in general. Like, I was just looking at some clips from him at the freaking Golden Globes, like Sebastian Stan won, and he was just so happy, like, and like, he's pissing off Harrison Ford because Harrison Ford's old and angry.
Yeah,
Harrison Ford's sick of him, bro. He's sick of him, dog.
What do you mean?
Like, he was like, so during the Golden Globes, like, Harrison Ford was trying to open up the envelope, and bro, Mackie was just trolling, bro, just making noises. You can see Harrison Ford's like, this young dude, man, is pissing me off. You know what I mean? Like, he's just a fun guy to be around. You know what I mean? And so, I am really excited. Number one, for this press run. This press run is going to be legendary. But I am really excited for this movie also, because I do feel like a lot of people are going to be walking into this movie not what is the word? Like, I feel like a lot of people don't know what they're going to get. Like, a lot of people don't understand how action-packed this is going to be. And then you and I shared that clip with you earlier of the Hulk just smacking Captain America around like a freaking mosquito. Like, we are in for a treat when it comes to this movie, bro. And honestly, we don't really know what's going to happen at the end of this thing and where it's going to take us. But like, there's a lot of mystery with what's going on with Captain America.
Yeah, like there's like 3 trailers I think they've dropped. I think I watched like the first one and kind of like, I'm over the trailers. Like, I don't need to see a trailer for all these movies. Like, I'm excited for the Fantastic Four one because, I think it's going to be funny seeing Reed with a mustache, like, actually moving around. And because I'm really excited for that movie. That's, I've decided, by the way, that's my number one for the year. I love the Fantastic Four. They are one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I like Superman. I'm not like as crazy about Superman as everyone else. I'm not afraid to say it. Like, I feel like it's the number one hype movie of the year. People are going crazy about it. And by the way, you tried to tell me you thought the hype was level. Bro, Fantastic Four is not going to do the Superman trailer numbers. No way.
I don't know,
I think it's going to do
good. I don't know, dog. I think that joke's going to break the internet. I really do.
We'll see.
I really do.
I don't know. I don't think that fans outside of like the fans that read comics really know the Fantastic Four so well. I think they know who they are because like they've tried the movies a couple times, but bro, you're talking about Superman, like he is the most iconic superhero, bar none. So we'll see.
Of course, it's just not Pedro Pascal. And I just think they have such a dynamic cast. Like I said last episode, that it's kind of not fair to compare both because Fantastic Four has so much star power. I just think that they have so many stars, and I just think the way, like, if they do it right, I think the trailer could like blow up and be crazy. But the MCU has the machine behind them, so it should do better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not really trying to use it as a knock. But yeah, another thing that you said too, I've been doing that as well, bro. Like, if Superman drops another trailer, I don't think I'm going to watch it because I totally agree. After the teasers, and I did the same thing with Deadpool and Wolverine, because I was like, yo, the first trailer, I just had to see Wolverine in action in that suit, and that's all I needed. Same thing with Superman, bro. I just had to see it. You know what I mean? And now that I've seen it, like my thirst is quenched until we get in theaters. And same thing with Fantastic Four and all of these other, films as well.
By the way, side note, quick gem I'm about to drop that's like has not even related to the topic. A lot of people were like, oh, they should have went with the brown and yellow suit. No, they shouldn't have.
For what?
The brown and yellow Wolverine suit. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It was a better suit, but the movie wouldn't have worked as well if the suits didn't complement each other the way they did. It was red and yellow, not red and brown and yellow. And that's a big difference. And a lot of people who love to talk costumes, the two things they never take into consideration, which is crazy, are the rest of the movie and the color grading and all that blending together. Like, people are like, oh, I saw someone the other day on social media be like, oh, well, this suit doesn't look as good in a poster where it's not in the movie. It's not supposed to. It's meant for the fucking movie, bro. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, but at some point, stupidity is just not an excuse for being stupid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Also, that Wolverine suit is all CGI, so it obviously is going to look better than
Was
that.
it?
Yes, that was an all CGI suit, bro.
That's crazy because
but that's why it looks so perfect, versus where the actual Wolverine suit is actually a practical suit, which why I like the yellow. I love the Wolverine yellow suit. And if Hugh Jackman stays or if they don't, I hope like the only variation I would want is the no sleeves. I do want Wolverine to have no sleeves, whoever they choose. Like keep the same suit, but just take off the sleeves. That's like my favorite variation. And the mask was just, oh my gosh, that like there's nothing better than when a comic book movie is a comic book movie and they just dive into everything, the colors, it was amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was. Listen, it's a good, fun movie. I wouldn't say it was amazing. I think
no. I'm talking about the suits. And
oh, okay, yeah.
Costumes.
I think that is a movie that the hype really helped.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy to me that people are talking about that movie the way they are. Like, listen, I liked it. It's a fun movie, but it's not like it's nowhere near a 9 or a 10.
Oh no, but it's a really fun movie to rewatch too. Like it's one of those films that you can just throw on. Like no matter who's over, like you can always put that on. And for a while, for me, that was Avengers Infinity War. I could turn that on if anybody's over, and people will get locked in. Civil War was like that too, But like Civil War and those movies are a whole different level than what Deadpool is, and that will forever be how it is. All right,
yeah.
Now, next here is Thunderbolts. Wait, let me read some chats before we get, because people probably want to talk about Tyler Hoechlin as Hyperion. No, I don't like that one. No. I think Len Powell could be perfect for the upcoming MCU reboot Captain America. Don't see that either, bro. I don't see Glenn Powell.
I don't think that I don't think there's a reboot Iron Man and Captain America coming after Secret Wars, and I'll tell you why. If they're bringing back RDJ and Chris Evans, even as different characters, which they are, I don't think that they're going to turn around and be like, and here's the new Iron Man and Captain. Like, they have other characters that the MCU can flourish with, and I just don't see that. Like, I think they would be right to have concerns doing that people would be disappointed. Like, people would be, if they were going to bring Iron Man and Captain America back, they would be much better off doing so if they weren't bringing RDJ and Chris Evans back, because people are going to be so disappointed. And you might not think it now, but I promise you, if they do Secret Wars and it's as big as it's supposed to be, and it's going to save the legacy of the multiversal saga, which I don't know if it can, but I just don't think that, like, I don't know. I think people would be disappointed. I think that's a bad move. I think it's a really bad move. And I think they'd be much better off leaning on people like Cyclops, Wolverine, and there are other mutants that people don't really know, like Phantom X, who I love. But I think Wolverine might get recasted unless if Hugh Jackman says he wants to stay on, they'll keep him because
you're 70.
They'll do it. They will. They will. And I used to not think they would, but they fucking hired Pedro Pascal to be Reed Richards. So I could definitely see them keeping Hugh Jackman on.
Yeah. And like the way that I feel about it is like, I agree with the same thing. If you have a freaking Scott Summers and a freaking Reed, like, you don't need Tony and Cap right now. But if you do want to bring Tony and Cap back, I would just bring RDJ and Chris Evans back, because with having the Fantastic Four and the X-Men as the leads, in the MCU, you don't have to have RDJ and Chris Evans and everything. Just bring them back when they're needed. And I think just keeping it that way is probably super chill. I hope Brave in the World is good so people can be confused. Facts. Brave in the World is getting so much hate. Facts it is, bro. Abraham Lincoln is Magneto. Oh my god. Abe Lincoln is Magneto. Yeah. That'll be a great fan casting.
Andrew Lincoln.
Oh, I thought he said Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yo, that's terrible. That's funny. Yeah, who's Andrew
He
Lincoln?
does look like Fassbender,
Let me see.
but I don't really know this guy. He's from The Walking Dead, so I'm sure he's got a lot of
Yeah, it's
fans.
probably at least has to be
People
a good actor.
love The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fantastic Four is gonna be fire. Facts. I would like to have seen it once. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Ewan McGregor? No. Oh my gosh, no. Ewan McGregor as Professor X? Goodness, no.
Yeah.
What? I can't even envision him bald. I'm stuck between watching you guys now and the first Raw. Bro, just watch both, bro. But yeah, I did hear that Monday Night Raw is on Netflix now, which is insane. Which is showing how cable is dying and how streaming is like the new thing.
Streaming had a bad year last year too.
It did, but like a company like Monday Night Raw going to Netflix is big, bro.
Yeah, and Netflix is gonna beat all. Like, I know some of them have like some good shows, like Hulu had bro. Netflix is so ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
I have been a fan of Netflix since I was a kid. Like when they first opened, I was ordering the DVDs. Anyway, the reason why Netflix is such a great company and has a leg up on everyone else is it's actually similar to Elon Musk and the SpaceX story. Basically, what they did was they went to all the movie studios and the TV labels, and they were like, hey, we want to work out a deal to put your content on our platform. And almost all of them were like, screw you. Like, we're not doing that, And Netflix was like, okay, we're going to make our own content. And the first show they made, which is phenomenal. If you haven't watched it, whether you're into politics or not, House of Cards is incredible.
Yeah, banger, bro. Banger.
The reason it was so successful was because they weren't making a show and guessing or hoping it was going to be a hit. Every creative decision on that show was made based on empirical data from Netflix users. So when Netflix makes a show, it's all based on user data. They know who's going to watch it. They know how they're going to watch it. All of that stuff. It's all factored in. And Netflix has way more data than all of them.
So they're just ahead of the game. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And they have more money.
Yeah. Okay. Next movie, this movie is kind of under the radar, which is Thunderbolts. So this is kind of like our dark. I don't want to say dark Avengers because there's no Norman Osborn, but this is our dark team in the MCU. Another pseudo political film where this is going to be dealing with spies, and we are getting a bunch of good characters. Yelena Belova is coming back. The red freaking Guardian is coming back. Ghost is back. U.S. Agent is going to be in the U.S. Agent suit. Looks awesome. Sentry is going to be in this film as well. And apparently the new Thunderbolts HQ is what the old Stark Tower was. So that's also a really big deal. There's rumors of this linking to Kingpin to link right to Daredevil Born Again as well. That's coming out soon as well. So Jerry, how do you feel about the Thunderbolts?
Oh, I love
movie?
It. I really hope that Norman Osborn is in the movie, and I want to know what the damn asterisk means. So, because I'm almost expecting like we're gonna see the movie and we're gonna sit down and Thunderbolts letters are gonna fall over the screen, and it's gonna be like Dark Avengers. I don't actually think that'll happen, but I do almost think that they want to. If they were going to title it Dark Avengers, they would have done it before 100%. Just because the name. But what you have to understand is the Thunderbolts were originally created as a team of villains, that were kind of pretending to be heroes, right? And over time, they evolved into a government-sanctioned team and of reformed villains, anti-heroes. And during the mid-2000s, Norman Osborn became the leader of the Thunderbolts. This was during Civil War. And then after he was successful with that, he rose to power in Secret Invasion, and he killed the Skrull Queen and gained public and political favor. And at this point, he was like, riding high, almost like when Lex Luthor became president type of thing. Yeah. And he disbands the Thunderbolts and repurposed a lot of the team to form the Dark Avengers. So there is some relation there. But I think it's interesting. I think this movie is going to be great. It looks good. I think it has a good cast. I don't think it has the best team just because I think they made some bad decisions, like with Taskmaster. And I liked Olga Kurylenko. She was great in Quantum of Solace. She was the Bond girl. But I don't know. I think it'll be a good movie, but I think that if the MCU wasn't making political decisions, like, they would be in a better situation. But that's what happens when you have a shared universe. You have a shared universe, you make stupid decisions. You don't only pay for it when that movie comes out, but you pay for it in the future. And they're doing that now. But first, I don't think they think they're paying for it, because if they did, they would have just fixed this fucking situation and been like, you know what? Let's recast Taskmaster. Let's make him a dude like he's supposed to be, because everyone loves Taskmaster from the comics. And Taskmaster's a really popular character, not just because of the comics, but I think he was in the animated Spider-Man show. He was in the first Spider-Man PS4 game. So you got to look at it when a character is known outside of comic readers, like, that means a lot to their popularity.
100%. And Taskmaster basically had a way out, like, basically got taken out at the end of the Black Widow movie. So why not just say, like, someone else took the freaking mantle and now it's a dude? Like, it's not that hard to just, you know what I mean? Just say, oh, we have a new guy, like, whatever, when fans didn't like it, you know what I'm saying? So I agree. But with Thunderbolts, excuse me, this is another movie that I think is going under the radar. And I do think that word of mouth is going to make this movie be not the biggest movie of all time, but I think I think the word of mouth of fans is going to make this movie hit. I do think that, I've heard rumors that they're trying to stir something up between, Bucky and Yelena. Like, I really hope that Bucky gets to shine in this movie, because I do think Bucky has been done dirty by just the MCU in general. So I hope that we get to see him shine in this. But obviously, we all know who's going to shine the most, which is Yelena, who's a fan favorite. A lot of fans love her because she's ruthless, but also funny. I think she's going to play a really big part. Not to mention, a lot of people are hyped for U.S. Agent, and I think that U.S. Agent is also another fan favorite that people are going to like, because he isn't going to be the guy that we saw in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He's going to be a whole different character, and I'm excited to see that as well. The only characters that I think fans aren't going to care about, no one's going to care about Ghost, and I think Ghost is dope. Yeah, Ghost is a cool character, but no one's going to care about her, and no one's going to care about Taskmaster at all. But Bucky, Yelena, Red Guardian, those are good, castmates to have kind of in the same room.
Not a great situation going into a movie that you have two members of a team that people don't care for. Yeah. I mean,
could have put Hawk on there, so who knows? Could have put somebody on there, bro.
They would have been better off just dropping those two characters or recasting one of them. And by the way, I love Bucky and I love U.S. Agent, and I always loved Bucky. But when I'm reading this Cap run, and this is the Captain America run that everyone says is one of the best Marvel Comics runs of all time.
Do you like it?
I love it. It is so sick. I wish I read it sooner. It's that good. And it's long too, which I always love. But I think Bucky is going to be phenomenal in this movie. I do think that he is probably going to be a little further along past his guilt that we saw in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I don't think that U.S. Agent is going to be that different. I think U.S. Agent is going to have a little bit of character development, being past the, I'm trying to be Captain America kind of thing. And I think he's going to be more okay with what his role is, rather than what he was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I do think it's going to be interesting seeing Bucky and U.S. Agent working together after all that went down. The other thing is I really hope that we get gun action in this movie. And I think we will, because
it seems like it's a lot of it from the trailer.
They weren't shy about, I think they had guns with U.S. Agent, number one, and they've never really been shy to use guns when it comes to Bucky. They knew But the difference here is they weren't shy to put a gun in Bucky's hands when Bucky was the villain. I don't think they've really done it when he is the hero. And I do think that's a big difference, especially when it comes to Marvel under Disney. You have to keep in mind that, listen, we're talking about movies, but we do live in the United States of America. And in the United States of America, you have a large portion of the country that thinks guns are bad. It's not like what it was when we were kids. When I was a kid and I wanted a toy, my parents got me a toy gun, okay? And like, it didn't matter the age, that's what they got, or a video game. And I don't think kids are growing up in that kind of America today. And I think Marvel is definitely conscious of that. And they've been able to stay clear of it, mostly because superheroes in comic books don't really use guns. But I do think that, like, that's part of Bucky's character. You know, if you look at my Instagram story, it might still be up, or it's on Threads. On the cover of when Bucky becomes Captain America, on the front cover, he's holding a pistol. And I made a mention of it. So I don't know. I think to do Bucky right, you got to put a gun in the guy's hands, and he just looks so much more badass when you do it. And yeah, we live in America, and everyone is like super conscious and sensitive of everything. But like, we are talking about going to the movies, okay? And if there's a time to enjoy guns, it's in fictional stories. God damn it, give us the guns.
So Bucky has always had a gun. So like in Infinity War, he had that crazy behind freaking it was like a, I don't even know what kind of gun it was. He had that crazy gun when he was shooting against the aliens. And Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there is a shot where he was about to blow what's his name, brains out. What's his name? Zemo, where he literally puts a gun to freaking Zemo's head. And I'm not sure if it's the Wakandans that stopped him or what. But when it came to the John Walker and all of those fights, he more so used his arm and his super soldier strength. You know what I mean, to kind of use guns. So I feel like they have always used the Bucky gun type of thing. So for them to veer off of that now is just stupid, because that's who he is. I mean, that's his character. You know what I'm saying? But like when the trailer starts off with Yelena bombing a lab, it's like, okay, this type of movie that we're going to be getting into. Like, and Yelena, it seems like she's on her assassin vibe right now and has no type of emotion. So, and I do have a question for that, because like, it seemed like she was reaching some type of redemption at the end of Hawkeye. Because remember, she was trying to kill Clint, and Clint's like, bro, like, I didn't kill her. You know what I mean? And then she kind of runs away, and it's like, so you just join back up with Val to murder people again? So I do wonder, like, is there something she has over her head, or, you know, like what's kind of going on behind the scenes there? But there, I mean, this movie has to be filled with guns, bro. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Same thing with Brave New World. I mean, we see freaking Isaiah Bradley get freaking arrested where everybody's pointing freaking guns at his head. So you know,
that looked cool.
That was sick, bro.
Now I gotta watch the trailer again.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah. So, but like when you're doing a government, you know, type of thriller, political thriller, spy movie, you gotta have guns. It's just the way it is. You know
what else I think has ruined trailers? It's the fact that like they drop at like 12:30 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I'm in my office, or maybe even working from home. But you know what I'm not doing? I'm not watching it on my TV system. That's like my fucking pride and glory that I love watching. And then I watch it when I get in bed at night, and it's like I ruined the experience already, you know?
Yeah. Well, dude, so that's what I did for Superman. So for Superman, when it came out, I literally went to work late just to watch it.
Oh, wow.
And I watched it on my 70-inch, and I'm like, wow. Like, because everybody was complaining about the frames and lighting. I'm like, let me watch it on here first. And when I watched it on my TV, the experience was 10 times better than watching it on my phone. So
you know what,
that'd be a great point.
Also about the Superman trailer.
Well, hold on. Superman's next.
Okay.
Superman's next. So let's just go right there. Okay. Superman is the next movie. Jerry, hey, go ahead, bro. Go ahead. What are you saying?
The hot take, the teaser poster and the score on the teaser poster was a better drop than the trailer itself.
This 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
With the whistle and the score, that went hard. Okay. And you know, the trailer was cool, but I think that people are just so excited for DC to be back and James Gunn's vision. And I think that the hype is going to carry a lot of this movie. And I almost don't want to say this because, like, you guys have to understand, we need Superman to kill it. Because if Superman doesn't kill it, the DCU could be dead on arrival. I'm not raining on anyone's parade here. I'm just telling you the truth. Warner Brothers is in a poor, weak position. If the DCU isn't thriving, the whole thing's in jeopardy. So, but at the same time, I care about my integrity. And if I have thoughts, I'm going to tell you because we also want this show to do well. And, so here's the thing. We didn't learn really much about the movie from the Superman trailer. We saw some shots. We heard some music. We didn't hear really any dialogue other than "Crypto, take me home."
Yeah.
And that was cool and all, but like we really don't know that much about the movie. And I almost don't want to say this because I can't stand the Snyder cult, but like, when that trailer dropped and they were all posting, the frame by frame comparisons, like they weren't wrong. And even the Hollywood Reporter made a comment like, what exactly was it? I forget exactly what it was, but they basically said, some of this stuff was like seemed controversial to do for Superman whatever amount of years ago, but now it's okay. It's kind of weird. So the Hollywood Reporter called that out too. And I do wonder, like, and Stevie and I talked about this. I think that it was intentional. I don't think that James Gunn accidentally had so many shots that were so similar to Snyder's Man of Steel. But I don't know what the reason is. I know Stevie has an idea of what he thinks was the reason. I forget what that idea was. Oh, I think it was paying homage. That's what you believe?
Yeah, I think that he was trying to take all elements of what Superman has been in all of his live action adaptations and kind of throwing it all into one.
Right, and it's likely that's the reason, but we really don't know. I would like James Gunn to say something on it, but I don't think he will. And I love James Gunn. I just don't think it's in his best interest to do it. I think that, and maybe that was the reason, and maybe he did that as a way to signal to the Snyder fans, like, hey, I see and respect Snyder's vision. I'm hoping you'll enjoy mine. Maybe that was his way of saying that. We really don't know. I don't think that James Gunn was ill-intended in doing so. I'm just saying I don't know what the reason is because he hasn't come out and said it.
Yeah. So in regards to Superman, I am excited for this movie, and I do think that it's going to be something different. The one thing that I have learned, though, just seeing DC, is that Marvel's marketing machine is crazy. And that's what it's been showing me. Because, like, there's just certain shots of the suit and stuff like that Kevin Feige would never dare show us. You know what I mean? Like when I look at the Captain America costume, right? Like, it's just almost every shot of the costume is golden. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes to the small things, like when it comes to the small details, even with the Marvels, right? Yes, the trailer's terrible with the Black Girl magic, all that stuff sucks. But when it comes to small, I'm talking about the Captain Marvel 3 with the whole Captain Marvel 2 with the Black Girl magic, like that's all bad. But when I'm talking about the small things, bro, like when I'm talking about costumes and action shots, like they always land those no matter how bad the film is. You know what I mean? And I think this is a learning curve for James Gunn, is you have to learn how to market your characters the right way. And if I was to take an objective, look at this, and I honestly started thinking about this after you texted me about the whole Snyder thing, because I was like, Jerry, you do have a point. I do think the marketing for the DCU and Superman in general has been very, very messy. And the one thing that you said to me about, Timothy Chalamet, how he's kind of keeping his secrecy, right? I do think that there's a level of secrecy that has to be kept that James Gunn needs to learn. Like, I don't think fans need to know everything, as in development and what's going on. Because now when Brave and the Bold gets announced, like, we're going to be happy, but like, I wish he just talked about it like he did in that first video, and then we hear nothing about it from him until he has everything done. You know what I mean? So I think that the Superman rollout hasn't been too great. And I hope that, he learns from this and takes some things that, Feige has done in regards to his rollouts. Like, bro, I mean, after Robert Downey Jr. got announced, he did one article just to clarify that he's playing Victor Von Doom. Haven't heard about it since. Literally haven't heard about it since. And I feel like, but RDJ, Dr. Doom is very similar to Corn Sweat Superman. There was a division in fandom about these castics. And I think Marvel kind of, pulled RDJ back from the public for that reason, And so I feel like, there, and I'm not saying that's the answer, but there has to be some type of lesson, that can be learned from this rollout.
So I think it's kind of similar to like Kevin Durant on Twitter. I think, and I'm going to share my own experience. Like, I get comments all the time of people like trying to be a smart ass. And it's funny. I learned on Twitter the other day, you could block people and they could still see your tweets.
Yeah, I didn't know
they
that.
Can't. So after you block them, they can't reply. So like, I wrote somewhere, there was like a question about which Batman suit is better. And it was like 2 suits. And I said the Dark Knight suit. And I got like a gajillion likes on it. And I got one wise ass comment. And the guy, he was like, hold on, let me try to find it. Oh, it was so funny. He was, okay. So I said, I was like, the Dark Knight suit, no questions. So someone goes, oh, but it's literally a question. So I just wrote, I meant it's no question to me, genius. I hope that comment gave you the feeling you were looking for. And then I blocked him, so he couldn't say anything. So the conversation was deaded on me sticking it back to him. So that's kind of how you have to treat those people. Anyway, but my point is that sometimes I can't resist but to comment back. And I think James Gunn is like that. Like, I don't think this is all super thought out. And it was like, I'm going to be super transparent with the fans. I think he's just on social media like us, and he gets questions and he's like, God damn it. And he's just firing them up.
Yeah.
And Feige, I don't even know what Kevin Feige's Twitter handle is.
Yeah, he quiet, bro.
I'm sure he has one. And I know he has. I know these celebrities do, because I'm not going to say who, especially because people would lose their minds. But I think I told you this. So one of my best friends got engaged recently. And, like a super famous person that if you went to look for their Instagram, you would never be able to find them. And he has this, like, it's actually a really funny Instagram name if you knew who it was, but you would never know. He's got like 200 followers, 0 posts, and he's literally one of the most famous people on the fucking planet. Okay. I think a lot of people that are high profile like that are on social media because they're also citizens of the United States in 2025. Like, how are you not on social media? But they're not active on their own profile. They're active and they're consuming, but they're not really participating themselves. And I think James Gunn and the DCU would be better off if they did that. But I just don't know if James Gunn, some people aren't that type of person.
Yeah.
Some people are talkers like me. I'm a talker, and I say stuff that sometimes, people are like, oh, shut up, but I'm also not the CEO of DC Studios. And I want to say something else, by the way. And I don't know if this is accurate. A lot of these stuff are theories, and I don't like when people push theories as fact, especially something like this. And I hate Trunks. I don't call them Trunks. So I got in a Twitter argument with someone the other day. I did the same thing. I blocked him. And then one of his friends was like, oh, you blocked me, bitch. I was like, no, I blocked you because my last comment was the final nail in the coffin. If you think I blocked you and that makes you win after the conversation we had, you are stupid. Anyway, the poster, if you look at the poster, Steve, could you hold up the poster, please?
The Superman one?
you know what's missing? You can't see the trunks. So a lot of people were saying that, people have been saying since the first photo that came out where, Superman was kind of battered down, sitting in his apartment, and there was the orb in the air. People said from the get-go with that photo, they're hiding the trunks. They're embarrassed of the trunks. Okay. A lot of them saying that were people like, and he probably hates me, but Aaron Fisher, you are my favorite of the Snyder cult. I like talking with you. You're not a woke snowflake like some of the others, so we can talk with you. And I appreciate your commentary, even though you probably can't stand me. And I think that, but he was like, they're hiding the trunks. They're hiding the trunks. They keep saying that. And Aaron's been saying this from day one, but now a lot of other people are saying it. And I don't know if they have a point or not. And I think that with James Gunn, who's someone who is obviously so online, he's definitely seen the people who said they're not. And he knows who Aaron Fisher is, because Aaron lost his mind when he didn't get the Creature Commandos. When people got Creature Commandos to watch before it came out, Aaron tweeted at James Gunn. He was like, "How come you didn't get, bro? Come on." You're knocking him all day long.
Facts. He don't like him. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, man. Anyway, but there's no way that James Gunn hasn't seen people say, "Oh, they're hiding the trunks," and then they put the poster out that's kind of hiding the trunks. And I haven't reviewed the trailer since I've heard this, but I hate trunks. I really do. I hate trunks. I don't think they're embarrassed of the trunks, because if they were embarrassed of it, they wouldn't have done it. Or maybe it's too late and they don't have a choice. I don't know. But I hate the trunks. I do think it's an interesting commentary that people think they're embarrassed of the trunks.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
The other thing is, the other thing with suits is, this is going to be controversial, but the suits don't have to be perfect. Okay. Most of the suits are good enough to enjoy the movie. And that's what matters. We're not in a fashion competition. There have been some great suits in the MCU. Most of them have been just mediocre and no one's really talked about it. Okay. So I don't think the suit needs to be perfect. I like the new Superman suit. I hate the trunks. I'm not like, oh, the movie's ruined. He's got underwear over his pants. I think he's going to look stupid with it. But, I still think the movie's going to be great.
Yeah. So this is my philosophy on suits. The suit matters more in the sequel than the first movie. And I say that, right? Batman Begins. The suit is terrible. Oh my God. The next Batman Begins, it's just clunky. He can barely move his head around.
Batman Begins suit.
Yeah, he has to move his whole body around just to turn his head. And that's how we go.
I'm able to knock my favorite stuff. I just wanted to give myself credit for that. Okay.
I'm about to knock the Batman right now. Give me a second.
Let's hear it.
Give me a second. But when we come to the Dark Knight, even though I don't like the all black suit, it still looks better than the Batman Begins costume. It's just better. It's better. And that's why with the Batman, the suit does have flaws. We got to be honest. They got to fix the cowl. We need a chin. We need something to do with that chin. You know what I mean? There's just you got to make the cape a little longer, take away the freaking collar that makes it look like it's a turtleneck. There's some changes that need to be made. But in the Batman, the suit that he wore, it fit the movie that he's in. He's not perfect. He has things that he's trying to fix and work on. It makes sense. Yeah, so
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So when it comes to Superman, I'm not really tripping over the costume, because this is still, and I'm gonna be very careful when I say this, because as much as I want to push Patterson propaganda, I don't want to destroy my integrity while doing that, because I troll it, but
at least you admit you push
propaganda. No. Oh, you know. I mean, look, I troll on X all the time. Wait, you want Slav? But I mean, right now we all know the truth. They're probably doing too, and I'm just gonna be honest. Patterson's probably not going to be the guy as of right now. If any other information comes out, I will blast it. But as
I know, and by the way, if they do it, I will take my L, but I will have criticism.
Yeah, for sure. But
because there's one reason to do it, and it's what I told you, I think, last week, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, but with Superman, I am kind of viewing it as the Batman, as in like he's got it figured out, but he's still figuring it out, and I think that's what a lot of people have to view this movie. And I think that should be reflected in his costume and in the way things are and in the way he's getting beat up and all that stuff. So,
I think this is a little
I'm
different
excited
though, because it's the first movie in a new universe. It's Superman, and like, I don't know, I just think a Superman suit is very important because he is the most iconic superhero, and I think a lot of it has to do with his suit. And I'm not trying to take away from Superman. Like, listen, I like Superman. I don't hate Superman. I like Superman. I read Superman comics. I enjoy Superman. He's just not my favorite, and he's not in my top 5. I don't know if he's in my top 10, but anyway, I think that the suit, other than the trunks and the boots, are pretty cool. And I don't think that anyone can honestly say that the Snyder suit isn't fire.
Can we get honest?
What?
Oh God, I don't want to be negative, bro. But as a costume connoisseur, I have to say this right now. Oh, I did not.
Go for it.
I think this Superman suit is a little bit of James Gunn's ego.
I respect you for saying that, because I know those kinds of thoughts are in there, and I know they never make it out of your mouth. And that's the kind of commentary, bro. We got to keep it real with people.
Yeah. I've been thinking this for a while, and I've been trying to find a way to, because guys, like the way that I am is like, I hate saying stuff without being able to articulate it, but who cares? This is a freaking podcast. Screw it. I do think this suit has some James Gunn ego, and I say that because I do find little similarities to some of the Guardian stuff. Like I do, like and I see what people are talking about, and a little bit of me is like, okay, like the yellow S on the back, I understand, but like if you saw what's like, if you're saying you're taking inspiration from Snyder, why not take some of the stuff that worked? Like when it comes to Superman, I love the tight suit where it's like almost like skin, like I'm just like with some of the suits, it feels like he's trying to create his own like
vision to be known for.
Yeah, is that his own touch and taste instead of kind of taking, and look, I understand he took some new 52 with like the collar and stuff, but like other than that, like it looks like it's a James Gunn design suit. What I mean?
The biggest thing for me with the Superman suit is that it needs to make Superman look like royalty. The cape needs to drape over him like he's a king, similar to Thor. It's a red cape, and I think that the yellow S on the back, number one, takes away from that. Number two, the material I think is going to look good after post-production. I think the material is kind of cool, but like I've always been like, I grew up, I don't even want to get into my personal life, but like I'll just say I have a experienced taste when it comes to fashion. So like I like some things that are edgy and unorthodox, and I kind of see the material that way. So that doesn't bother me. But I think that like the best things the suit has are the logo and the collar, but the boots and the trunks are bad. And when you look at the belt loops, it makes it look like the belt loops don't properly fit the belt. And because they don't, and they look like almost plastic, and it just doesn't look good.
Exactly. And that's where, and Jerry, and that's where this goes back to where like one thing that the MCU does well, bro, is those little rollouts, those little details. They will sell you. They will sell you on good costumes and good scenes, so you get in the theater. And and so I think, as I said, I think this is a big learning curve for James Gunn, and he just has to learn that. Like someone like Zack Snyder, he just understands. Like, oh my God, I sound like a Snyder cultist, and I'm not. But there's just certain guys that have a knack for design. You know what I mean? Like, and that was Snyder's thing. I think James Gunn is a better, and I think James Gunn's strengths are more writing. I think James Gunn's strengths is more of is building scenes and actually making it come to life. And I always go back to, Black Panther has some of the best costumes, like as in like a cast that we've ever seen. The creativity of the Wakanda costumes were awesome. And so I do hope that, maybe James Gunn needs to maybe filter out some of those costume ideas and designs to someone else that he can trust, that because that's kind of what Feige did for like all of his stuff, Maybe he needs someone like that. I don't know.
I also feel like it's very easy to be in that position and have a bunch of yes men around you. And you need people who are willing to be honest, and not everyone is. The other thing here, though, who had a perfect suit?
Who?
Iron Man in the first one. Perfect suit. And that was so important for that movie. I don't know. I think, and by the way, I think the suit is, I'm trying to come up with a way to articulate this, but what I don't, there sometimes certain conversations stem from things and it makes me dislike something else more. And when people started saying that we need a gray, blue, and yellow Batman suit, I was like, okay, this is a problem. Like that is, yes, we're getting a fantastical version of Batman. But that doesn't mean we need Batman in a goofy fucking costume, okay? And like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
And it's not a comic book. It's not a cartoon drawing. He's going to be wearing this as a real person. And like sometimes a lot of people on Twitter, they don't think things through. They're just like, oh, we've never had it. We should do that. Like,
yeah,
and
exactly.
I like the black, and I think the black and gray suit would be like the perfect suit for the DCU. I'm still not opposed to an all black suit. I think there's a reason that like every serious Batman movie has been pretty much an all black suit, except for Snyder. And by the way, that Snyder colorway on the BVS suit, if they're going to do anything other than all black, it should be black and gray like that.
Yep.
And a lot of we haven't really seen a blue, at least to my knowledge, and I read pretty much everything. So we haven't seen a gray and blue Batman suit in a really long time. And I think there's a reason for that. I think that the DC Comics understands the aesthetics of today's world that they're selling comics to. And the guys that did the blue and yellow and like, maybe in the 2000s or 90s, like, I don't know. It's just, bro, that shit is not going to look good in a movie.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And, if you guys want to know more about costumes, Phil Saunders is the guy that's done all the Iron Man costume designs. And I advise you guys to follow him on Instagram because I'm pretty sure he's did Captain America suits too. But he always posts his concept designs on Instagram and stuff. So follow him on Instagram. He always does that. But I will say this though, but Feige had Phil Saunders to lean on to do his concepts, and I wonder who he's using for the concept design. But it does seem like a James Gunn-esque design, and maybe that might be why. Because I don't really think his strengths are really design; it's more of the movie itself. But anyways, all in all, we are excited for Superman. Like we do have some concerns, but hopefully
I'm super pumped for Superman. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend everything is amazing because I'm not a yes man. Okay.
100%. And the reality is like, if that sacrifices us being to press runs, then it is how it is. Like, and because I do feel like a lot of guys in our space that get to go to these events, like some of them are so like yes men and they don't act like they don't say how they feel unless if the movie does bad. And I just don't think that's
like they're waiting for permission, to be honest with you. And that stuff is so corny. And there's too many of those. Yeah. And,
we're not going to do that. That's not who we are. Like, we're not going to sit here and wait until it's bad to trash something. Like, that's so, I mean, not even trash, but just to give an honest review. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. And like, I don't know. There's a lot of influencers do a lot of corny things. Like, I know you disagreed with me with that photo I sent you, and I don't want to say what the photo is because everyone's going to know what I'm talking about. And I actually like the kid. I do. I think he's probably a nice guy and like a cool guy to hang out with. But he put this photo up the other day, and it was just like so cringe. Oh my God. I can't even I don't even want to talk about it because everyone's going to know what I'm talking about.
Don't say it.
I'm not going to fire shots because listen, I'm brash, but like, I don't know. I can be an asshole. I was going to say I'm not, but I definitely can be.
If he was a douche, I would understand. But
yeah, exactly. But
He
no,
knew it
he
all.
definitely
Yeah.
seems like a nice guy.
All right, Fantastic Four first steps. How you feeling about that so far? Well, you said that that's your most anticipated film of the
My
year.
most anticipated movie of the year. I don't call movies films because I think that, people are like, oh, filmmakers, these films. First of all, most movies are shot digitally today. And I feel like a lot of people only say film, and it's like, I don't know. It comes
Yo,
off
you different, bro.
So I will always call it movies. And I'm going to stop calling them directors. I'm just going to call them movie makers. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
So
I'm definitely a contrarian. Anyway, the Fantastic Four first steps, I think, is going to be incredible. I think that Reed Richards is going to, Pedro Pascal is going to win me over. I'm always going to knock him for the mustache because it takes 2 seconds to shave it. There's literally no excuse for it. It's like unbelievable to me that they're doing it, but is what it is. By the way, it's a make or break year for DC. It's also pretty much a make or break year for Marvel. If Marvel doesn't have a good year, they are screwed. Like, yeah, Secret Wars and all that will still come out, but I don't know if Secret Wars is making $1 billion if three or four of these movies tank this year. Secret Wars is going to bomb. Like people are coming out and being and talking about the movie the way they did Quantumania or the Marvels.
Oh yeah, that'll be bad.
If that happens to 2 of the 4, one, they could probably ride it out because there's 3 other movies, and if all 3 of them are good, it's like not the end of the world. But if at least 2 of those movies are tanked, they're in trouble. If 3 or 4, Doomsday is in trouble. Now, listen, I'm also going to take my W because I said that the Future Foundation was going to be in this movie. You treated me like I was crazy when I said it, and I was like, bro, it's on the fucking banner. Okay, I got some, but it was on the banner. I was like, it wouldn't be there. You were like, oh, it's a Spider-Man animated show, which you weren't wrong that it was a Spider-Man animated show, but it was on the banner for Fantastic Four, and now it showed up on the T-shirt that they're selling for the movie too.
I want that shirt.
Yeah, that shirt is dope. So anyway, if you don't know, the Future Foundation was formed when Johnny Storm dies in the negative zone. They were all trying to escape the negative zone with the Annihilus wave, and Johnny Storm was like, I forget exactly the details of the fight, but he was like the only one that was going to be able to hold them back for the others to escape. So he sacrificed himself in the negative zone, and then Spider-Man joined the team, but because they didn't have Johnny Storm, they wanted to still respect his legacy, so they renamed the team to the Future Foundation, and the Future Foundation was also, there's an echo. The Future Foundation was also building solutions for the future with, Franklin Richards and the incursions and all that kind of stuff. But the Future Foundation is really cool. It's interesting to me that the Future Foundation is showing up for this movie. It's definitely a bit of a wild card because it says to me that the MCU is not really playing it safe with this movie. They are going with this is an ambitious move. So is Spider-Man going to be in the movie? That's what I'm getting at. I think it's probable. I don't want to say definitely, but why would the Future Foundation be involved if Spider-Man is not going to be involved? Does that mean Spider-Man is going to be part of the Future Foundation before they come over to the 616 universe or whatever number we're at? I don't know. But the other thing to think about that's interesting is if Spider-Man is going to be involved, why would they want to do that? And that is the big thing here. Spider-Man has always had Iron Man. Then he had Doctor Strange, but he's never really stood on his own. And I think the MCU might be trying to attach Spider-Man to the Fantastic Four in and especially Reed Richards and really Johnny. If you don't know, Spider-Man and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, are best friends in the comics. So, but the Future Foundation is missing Johnny Storm. So, but he was the perfect character to join because he also loved Johnny the way the rest of the Fantastic Four does. So that was part of that. But I do think it's probable that Spider-Man's going to be in the movie and that the MCU is going to kind of link Spider-Man to the Fantastic Four, and that's how they're going to make him part of the greater universe again. You're mute.
I definitely don't think Spider-Man is going to be in the Fantastic Four. If that does happen, that would be nuts. If they have the Future Foundation Spider-Man there, that'd be crazy. But I don't really see that happening. But I could definitely see that happening like in the future, which would be cool. Definitely to expand the MCU more as well. That'll be super fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet money on it, but I do think it's. I would say, I would give it a 60% shot.
Yeah, like if Peter Parker pops up, that would be nuts. But
why else would they do the Future Foundation right now?
Yeah, and it's not on. It is not in our MCU. So what would that mean? So I mean, there's a lot of questions, but I am excited about just the Fantastic Four in general because the Fantastic Four has yet to be done right, and the Fantastic Four has been duds in both the other times that they were done. Even though I liked the first cast, I thought the first cast was perfect, but talk for another day. But I am really excited to see, Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby and Joseph Quinn, and I'm really happy to see, Ralph Neeson as Galactus. I think Galactus is going to steal the show. I really do. I think a lot of fans are going to be very impressed with, the job that he's going to do. He has that voice to play a great Galactus as well. But I am really excited for, Pedro's Reed. I think that Pedro's Reed has to be. He is going to be the center of the MCU after this. He's going to be him and Cyclops and Wolverine and whoever else. And so they have to position Pedro to where he shines the most. And so when we go into Secret Wars, that's the guy. He's our go-to guy. The same way during the Avengers film, Steve and Tony were our go-to guys. And I do think it's kind of a shame that we're getting this film so late in the game when Doomsday comes out next year. I do think it's stupid that they waited this late to bring Reed in the game, but I think this is going to be fun. And Jerry, the one thing that I'm excited for, bro, is I just want to see Reed be a freaking nerd. I just want to see him be the intellectual, the smartest guy that we've ever seen come on screen. There is nothing better. Like I love Tony Stark in his suit, but I also love Tony Stark when he's in the lab cooking. And that's how I want to see Reed. I want to see Reed even more in the lab cooking, and they have to make him seem smarter than Bruce Banner and Stark. And Bruce Banner isn't that hard because Ruffalo's an idiot. But you have to make him seem smarter than Tony. Sorry, my mic shook. Yeah. You have to make him seem smarter than Tony Stark. And because that is the epitome of, like, he's the highest level of intellect. Him and Shuri, they're the highest level of intellect that we have right now that was, universally popular.
Yeah.
Oh man, and that's what I'm excited for too, bro. Like I'm excited to see, like Shuri, fangirl over Reed because he's like the smartest man in the world. Like I'm excited to see the aura that that he's gonna have as well. So, and can't wait to see these costumes as well, bro.
Yeah,
it's hard to get a Fantastic Four suit wrong. It's really hard to. Hard to.
You know who's gonna be the sleeper? Who I think everyone's gonna fall in love with? I've said this before, but The Thing. People like it's easy to look over him because he's a monster and all that, but he is, first of all, he's hilarious, but he's also the one that carries the emotional depth of the family. And to really drive home those stories that resonate with people, it's usually The Thing that's involved in those conversations. And I'm telling you, kids are going to love him. Adults are going to love him. People are going to be buying toys, dolls, all that nonsense. The Thing is the sleeper. People are going to fall in love with that guy.
100%. All right. Next one. This one should be quick. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Yeah. I'll go first in this one. Not going to be honest, guys. Not excited for this at all. No, I am not excited for this. I do think the Future Foundation suit is cool, but with Norman Osborn, give him the suit and all that stuff. There's nothing about this show right now that excites me. I said this on TikTok. I've been proven wrong before, and I hope that I'm proven wrong. But from all that we've seen and all that that they've shown, it has not impressed me one bit.
This show looks like it was made by people who were sitting in a safe space. Okay, it is ridiculous. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. All right, Daredevil. Oh, I forgot to put it to Tigger. Daredevil Born Again. This is my most anticipated show of the year. This is probably the best show that Marvel, that the MCU has ever done so far. I am looking forward to this show. How do you feel about this?
Oh, I can't wait, man. Oh, dude, this is also one of the best castings in the game, and I'm so excited, especially because like they retooled the show to be an extension of the Netflix series. And the one difference I'm hoping we get is I need to see like some aerial acrobatic Daredevil. You know, I want to see him diving off rooftops, all that kind of crazy stuff. But other than that, like I am 100% confident this show is going to be a banger.
I agree. And I hate to use a show, but in She-Hulk, like when they showed him, he was mad aerial and his I'll send you just a clip of him fighting. No, not the show, just a clip.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but he was really flying, like not flying around, but he was jumping around and like that is even more aerial than the Echo fight scene. But I am excited to see him on his own, not cameoing in the show and doing his own thing. I am really hyped also for the villain Muse. I was looking at some comic book shots of Muse. Muse looks freaking terrifying.
Yeah, Muse is dope, but Daredevil, man, he is one of my top favorites. Like, I am always going back to read more Daredevil comics. I read a ton of them, and he is just incredible. And what people also don't realize about Daredevil is that he is a more versatile, and in terms of storytelling for a character than people realize. Obviously, everyone knows him for the staple, gritty, almost like detective, like noir type of stories that, which is why people usually will say he's Marvel's version of Batman, which I don't know if there's any truth to that, but I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel took some inspiration for Daredevil from Batman. But I don't like to say, oh, this is their version of like, bro, it's not like Coke and Pepsi.
He's nothing like in my eyes, bro. He's nothing like Bats. Other than maybe fighting style and dwelling in darkness, I don't know. When I just think of Bruce Wayne and I was about to say freaking Charlie Cox. My God. But when I think of both characters, they just seem so different. One's a rich, billionaire. The other is like a lawyer. It's just two different.
No, but it's more in their like them being miserable and self-conflicted and that kind of thing, and the gritty crimes that they go after.
I got you.
Yeah. But it's stupid. It's not like they're obviously very different in so many ways. So that's why I said it's not like Coke and Pepsi,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this show is just going to be incredible. I think they brought over like the right people from the Netflix show. So, and they got the same cast. Yeah. I mean, what more could you want? And if you haven't watched the Daredevil Netflix shows yet, you're crazy. You should get on that right away.
It's also funny. Like, if
they're on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Facts. If I was ever to talk to Kevin Feige, it's like, so you scrapped Daredevil because it was trash and you made it good. So, and you do that for Daredevil because you know how important he is, but you just give us the trash of all the other characters that don't matter. It's like, just scrap all these shows that no one cares about and just focus on the characters that matter. Like, you destroyed Daredevil to make it what we want, and if you don't want to do that for any other project, just scrap it. That should just tell you that it's not important. But anyways, that's a rant for another day. But shout out to them for retooling the show and making it fit for fans that like it. Okay. Ironheart. We have a couple more projects, and then we have a few new stuff, and then we'll be out of here. Okay, now Ironheart. I want to read the plot real quick. So, following the events of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, MIT student Riri Williams returns home to Chicago, where she becomes entangled with the enigmatic Parker Robbins, aka the Hood, discovering secrets that pit technology against, or I think they spelled that wrong. Discovering secrets that put technology against magic and setting her on a path of danger and adventure. So the Ironheart show is still slated to come out this year. There was a trailer at Comic-Con, really a teaser that came out at Comic-Con, but we haven't heard any news about it since. How do you feel about Ironheart?
I'm not like excited for it, but I think it could end up being a decent season. I think that people were too harsh on the character and the actress from Wakanda Forever. I liked her. I thought she was great in that show. I think that the Power Rangers video meme of like her flying above the ship just torched her, and I think that came out. That movie had like the perfect recipe for everyone to just knock it. And it's crazy because a lot of the people who knocked it are the ones who said not to recast T'Challa. And it sucks because that movie should have been amazing, but she was not part of the problem. I actually like her. But I don't understand the reason for telling the story in the MCU. And I think that the MCU needs to learn a lesson about. I'm a big advocate of they should tell stories that don't necessarily drive the main story forward. But this is not one of those stories. Like, if you're going to tell a story that's not directly related to the main narrative, it's got to be something that people are like really excited for.
Yes. Like, Ironheart isn't Agatha. Like, Agatha works because Agatha's a witch. It's about magic. There's a fandom. They release it in October. Like, there's a fandom that likes magic and witches, and that inclined a lot of people to watch Agatha, which is why Agatha tore up and destroyed all of their, records, because they hit a niche. I don't think Ironheart fits a niche that people are going to really go and watch, And I see Ironheart, and I don't really think it could be bad, or I don't think it's going to be like just gosh awful, but
I agree.
I see this being in the area of Echo, where it's like it ain't bad, but it's like,
what are we doing here?
Yeah, like it's and at the best, it could be like Miss Marvel, to where we're just like, we were wrong. This is awesome. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like that's at its best though, and like, do you really want that for your shows versus where your biggest shows have performed well? Like if we're talking like Loki and stuff like that, like fans really went and watched this. Like, do
you know what's funny about that? It's like, they did Miss Marvel, and it's like, oh, what are you doing with that? The Marvels. Like, they finally got a good show of a character that like people didn't really ask for, and they wasted her. I never read Civil War 2 because everyone says it sucked. Except someone actually told me recently he liked it, and it's worth checking out. And I don't remember what the conflict was, but it was between Tony Stark and Carol Danvers, Iron Man and Captain Marvel. And people said what the craziest thing from that comic was that it was a character assassination of Captain Marvel. Like, she made so many decisions that like you can never look at her as a hero again. And people say she's never recovered in the comics since, which is interesting because
now I want to read it.
Yeah, exactly. But she's like I think the captain of the current Avengers team. It's her, Sam Wilson, I forget. But like, she's not even really prevalent in that series anyway, which is great. The current Avengers is awesome, but yeah, so much for Captain Marvel. They cared so much about her and all this, and all they did was they gave her a good first movie that I also think people were unfair to, and then they gave her, I would say, The Marvels is the worst MCU movie of all of them.
Yeah. And Avengers set her up well to be like the muscle, and they just ruined it. Like they kind of had a good little thing where like, Captain Marvel's going to be one of the leaders when it comes to the space area. And like,
I don't think they believed in her. And you know why? Because if they really thought she was a good character, she would have had a bigger role in Infinity War or in Endgame. But she didn't, because they didn't want to take screen time and focus away from the major players.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe in her. And I think that's all the proof.
Yeah. Do you know something else too I thought of was she would have been in Thor 4. She would have been in Guardians 3.
Why would she be in Thor 4?
Because I was kind of thinking about this, right? Like, I think about Thor, Love, and Blunder. And it's like you use the Guardians to get Thor to a place, right? And my thought was like, if Thor's in space, why wouldn't your biggest space character that you say, why wouldn't she pop up in this movie? And then I thought the same about Guardians of the Galaxy. If that's your biggest space character, why isn't your biggest space character popping up in these films? And the same way where it's like when we're on Earth, we know one of the big three popping up, Stark or Nick Fury or or Steve. They're going to be in something, and it's like, and I will say this: I think the Russos think that she's a bad actress. I really do. And I just rewatched Fast and Furious 10. Was not impressed. Was not impressed at all with the acting, and like when it comes to the Russos, like they can work with almost anyone when it comes to these films. And for them to only make her basically a non-talkable, bro, she barely talked in Endgame. Barely.
Yeah, she had like one line.
Yeah, bro. Hey, Peter Parker, I'm Carol or whatever it is. I mean, like it's like,
and then there was at the beginning when Rocket was like, she was like, the rest of you don't have you. Like, she was corny in the beginning of Endgame.
I'm going to do recon. It's like, yo, it's just so corny, bro. Like, so like, it's just little things like that where it makes you looking back now. I was like, dang, like, did they really think like, what if Feige's like, dang, she sucks? Like, who knows? All right. So here we go. Now, this is a rumor coming from Daniel RPK. A new Punisher show is in the works at Marvel Studios. This obviously is probably stemming from the fact that the Punisher is in Daredevil Born Again, which we're excited about. We love Punisher. Are you excited about a new Punisher show coming to the MCU?
One of my favorites, bro. I can't wait.
Did you like the Netflix show?
Yeah, it was incredible. That first season, bro, was one of the best superhero seasons of, well, it's not really a superhero, but you know what I'm saying, all time. Like, bro, that season was so sick. It was insane.
Yeah, bro. Bernthal is amazing, and you're right. Season 1 is great. And I am in to see how like to the edge they're going with Daredevil. I'm excited to see how they're going to do that with Punisher as well. If this is true and in the works, and this is just another avenue to feed fans that are into more realistic type of stuff, but also adding in some Marvel like elements and certain characters popping up, and like it's going to be crazy, bro. It's going to be crazy,
and bro. Thank God they didn't retire the character. I told you for like with BLM and the. Well, I forget the name of the pro-police movement, whatever it was called. But, the pro-police movement was using the skulls, and they were, they like made the Punisher logo like their thing. So a lot of people were online. They were like, oh, Marvel, you need to send them a message and retire the Punisher. And it's like, bro.
This is a fake character, dude. Come on, man.
Yeah, like.
A while.
And they did change the logo for a bit. They did. I don't know if you ever saw it, but they made it more like
it looked like an alien, right?
Not an alien, but it was like it had horns, like almost like it was.
Yeah. I don't even I remember that.
Yeah, it was weird, but whatever. They didn't retire the character, but of course, the woke crowd wants something.
He's also one of the most used characters on Marvel Rivals as well. He's OP on that game, dude. He's OP on that game, bro.
That's great.
Yeah, he's OP.
Yeah. So props to Marvel for not retiring the character.
Yeah. And someone like John Bernthal's born to play that role. Born to play it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, next topic here. Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is rumored again to be the villain in the Batman. And I actually got to a little, tick spat in my DMs on TikTok. The dude ended up DMing me about it. And I had to cook him real quick because he used
Heart of Ice. He was like, he was great in Heart of Ice.
No, dude, he used the freaking it's cold. It's going to be cold. Matt Reeves said it's going to be cold. And I was like, show me the article where Matt Reeves says that it's that it's going to be cold. You know what I mean? And he couldn't even find me any proof. So, yeah. So
and by the way, do you know that Mr. Freeze he's still Mr. Freeze in the summer.
Yes, no matter what temperature it is, he has a machine in his body that keeps him cold. That's the whole point of the suit.
Yeah.
The whole point of the suit is to keep him cold.
Right. Mr. Freeze is not a seasonal character, okay?
Yeah, like, you know what? This Christmas, like, he's
Yeah.
not gonna pop up during Christmas time, bro.
Oh,
Like,
Christmas is coming. Mr. Freeze is going to be alive again. Like,
oh, like it's and that was pretty much the debate that I had with this guy. He's like, it's cold. I'm like, yo, Miss Freeze isn't a seasonal character, bro. I was like, he can pop up whenever. I said, but it also just doesn't feed the realistic universe, in my opinion, that Matt Reeves is trying to build. You know, it's like, it's just Mr. Freeze wouldn't make sense. As you said, he's a one-trick pony. You know, it's the same story every time. Even when he's in other stories and comics, it's always linking back to the original origin story of his. It's just not interesting.
and I think all the proof that like validates this is the fact that you never see him come up in the comics. It's so rare. I think he popped up in the like not this run, but the past writer Ram V Detective Comics, which was a really cool run. But like Mr. Freeze was in it for like 3 pages. I mean, you know, they never use him, and you have to ask yourself why they never use Mr. Freeze in the comics. And I think it's because they don't want to. They'd rather use a more interesting villain.
I agree. And it's like, but like when you think about the Court of Owls and all these other characters, like Mr. Freeze is a bag of fries compared to this Big Mac of, you know, these characters. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's not. It's
we know he at the very least isn't going to be the main villain for the next year of Batman comics. Actually, 13 months, because Zdarsky's got one more comic, and then it's going to Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee for Hush 2. You know, he might pop up in Detective Comics, but chances are he's not, because his appearances are so rare because the creators know he's a boring character.
I agree, bro. He sucks, dude. He sucks. And it's like, how many times are we going to like just go down this same road? And it seems like fans bring up Mr. Freeze pretty often, so, and it's kind of annoying. Like,
I don't think they read comics.
No, but it's like, I get you grew up on the animated shows, like in the Batman animation show, it was cool, but like, but people also don't take context into how Mr. Freeze popped up in the Batman animated shows. When Mr. Freeze pops up, number one, he's never talking about his wife, and it's like, I just got to beat this villain real quick, and then I gotta go. You know what I mean? Like, it's a 2-second scene.
I also think that people like, listen, I grew up on Batman the animated series. It's great, and I'm not knocking it, but like, people need to realize that that was a show that was engineered for children. And I think Mr. Freeze's like costume looks cool when you're 6 years old and you got this like guy who's got a fucking snow globe on his head and these like red glasses. Like, it looks cool with a ice gun. You really think Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to look cool fighting someone with an ice gun? I mean, come on, bro. This is a raw, gritty. It's the most realistic Batman ever. And you think Mr. Freeze makes sense? Get out of your mind.
When all Batman has to do is just punch him in his freaking glass helmet, and then he's done. Like, honestly, grab a bat and just swing at his head, and he's dead. Like, I mean, honestly,
he doesn't even need to fight him. He just needs to break the snow globe open and go, this is what's called room temperature, bitch.
You're going to meet Thanos today, boy. Oh, my God.
I got to stop cursing, but it's just so good for the Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Okay. So James Gunn talked about Batman saying how I think a fan asked him, he was like, bro, like, we're not doing the Batman origin movie. I feel like we've talked about this with a bunch of characters. Like, funny thing is you did one, or we did one on the pod where you said why Superman's not going to be an origin. So I feel like we do this every quarter. Why is James Gunn not doing a Batman origin, and why do we not need another Batman origin movie?
We've seen it so many times. Everyone knows Batman's origin story. And if you don't, you could watch Batman Begins. You could watch the animated Batman Year One. Like, you could watch the opening scene of Batman vs. Superman. Like, you have so many options for the Batman origin. They want to do something different and bring something fresh and new to the DCU. And to do something that's fresh and new, you can't do something that's already been done 5 times.
100%. There's literally no reason to do this at all. And I said this on my TikTok. Batman Begins is the perfect origin movie. You don't have to watch anything else.
The thing that's cool about origin stories for me was like, and I've said this on here before, is, you know, when I was like a kid and I loved Batman the animated series and, you know, that kind of stuff. And then I got a little bit older and I was like, yeah, superheroes are kind of childish. Like I'm going to stop, like, you know, watching them and whatever. And then Spider-Man came out and I was like a superhero geek again. And I was like, I got to see this movie. And I went to see the movie and I didn't know how Spider-Man became Spider-Man. And it might have been in the Spider-Man, the animated series, but I was like too young to comprehend it. Whatever. I saw the movie and then origin stories became like a thing in the 2000s. And I was like, oh, so this is why or how. And it made more sense to me. And I got to appreciate the lore. So it made sense. But like the era of origin movies was 20 something years ago. Okay. And all the major characters, we know their origin stories. And if we don't, like, they could touch on it for someone like Green Lantern or whatever. But Batman and Superman, hell no. And if you think that we need an origin story for either of the two, I don't think you're a real fan. Because if you're a real fan, you would understand why we don't need that and why that's a bad move.
Yep. We need to go right into the story with the suits on. They're established. Like, they've done 10 years in the game. Like, that's kind of where I'm at, you know? I need them like a decade in to where, like, they're cooking everybody. Like, that's the Batman I want to see. And it also just makes, when they come against the opposition, it's like, oh, like, this is a real opposition because they've been so experienced. So I totally agree with everything you're saying. All right. Now the next topic here, Batman. Okay, so Creature Commandos has been making a lot of shaking around these rooms because Batman appeared in the Creature Commandos and fans were going crazy. How did you feel, bro, about the Batman reveal?
Bro, it looked fire. Like, that was a Batman the animated series type of shot. It was sick. I love the roof window, whatever the word for it is called. Yeah, it was sick. And I don't think anyone should be analyzing that Batman look and being like, oh, this is what Batman's going to look like in the DCU. James Gunn said that originally the look was much more visible or something to that effect. And he was like, yeah, I'm not ready to commit to that, make it much darker, less detail, less Batman. James Gunn is a guy that changes his mind a lot. So even if you think that silhouette, like, I wouldn't put your money that that's what Batman's going to look like. I do think that we're going to get a Batman that is more buff, but I want to say something on that because a lot of people love to say, oh, Batman is like super bulky in the comics. He's not bulky. He's jacked. There's a difference. You know, he's jacked, a little buff, but he's definitely not bulky. So, yeah.
I think that the way this Batman looks really holds no weight to how he's going to look in the DCU at all. And more so because, like, I saw a fan thing of Rick Flag, or I saw Rick Flag, and he even have gray hair in Superman. So, like, there's a lot of creative liberties that they're going to take right now because James Gunn probably doesn't even have a freaking design for who Batman is going to be.
You have to believe that if you're also going to believe that it might be Pattinson.
Okay, shut up. Oh God, yeah. So I think that holds no weight, and you know, and you are right, but that's why Batman is a physical specimen because he's freaking super strong and big, but he moves like a freaking ninja. Like, you know what I mean? That's what makes Batman scary because he's like that. So now I don't really want a bulky Batman personally. Like, I wasn't a big fan of the Ben Affleck like archetype. I do like a more leaner Batman. But just because he's like a ninja, like I like the Scott Adkins type of frame where, like, if I don't know, you guys know who Scott Adkins is. He's like the OG ninja guy for like films and movies, but he's lean and he's very, you know, just ripped and stuff. But like that, I like those looks for superheroes. If you want a Marvel hero to compare body frames to, like, I would love if Batman looked like had a body frame like Steve Rogers, Captain America. Like
You know
that would
what's
be
interesting to me?
perfect, body frame.
When Christian Bale like had his shirt off, he looked like he had the right build from the comics.
He's another example. Yeah.
But when he had the suit on, he looked slimmer. I think the suit had a slimming effect on him.
Exactly. But and I also will say I think Bale would have looked better with the Ben Affleck type of skin suit because you'll be able to see his profile. And I am more of a fan of those rather than actual armor. Because I really don't like the Batman armor, you know. I like the Ben Affleck skin tight, you know what I mean, type of suits to where it's like Kevlar kind of sort of
creases in it. That was so sick to me.
What in Affleck's?
Yeah,
exactly. Where it's like, and the one thing that I don't like about the Batman and and some of the other adaptations of Batman is like they sometimes take away what makes Batman ridiculous. You know what I mean? What makes Batman ridiculous is that he has a skin tight suit and he freaking, you know, and it's darn near bulletproof. You know what I mean? It's like, how is that possible? I also didn't like how I thought it was creative, but I felt like it took away from Batman being scary on his own merit. Like, remember when Ben Affleck would vocal coat his voice to sound like a freaking monster?
I don't think that was a coat. I think he had like some kind of voice changer on him.
Yeah, that's basically because Snyder called it like a vocal coat or something. I remember it from the extended edition, but because he was talking about how he coded his voice and how Ben Affleck had to do all this stuff. But like, it's little things like that I hope that they don't do, and like you feed into like like it has to seem like like it's ridiculous that this will be possible if that makes sense instead of trying to explain everything. I hope that they did dig into that when it comes to Batman. But I will say this. I hope they keep the long cape. I do want Batman to where the cape can wrap around him to where he can stand, like this, which is what Bill's Batman had, which I loved. I love when the cape wraps all around you. You're able to stand. It's just scary. It's freaking horrific. It's horrific. Like bro, that scene, like, remember when Scarecrow got injected with the Scarecrow toxin and Batman just looks like a goblin, like a demon, bro? Like, that's the fear that I want to see, bro. Like, because that shot of him with the black goo coming out of his mouth, bro, it was scary.
That was sick.
It's terrifying. Also, all right, let's see some chats that they got here. Batman vs Superman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and even Green Lantern don't need origins. Facts. Do you guys think it's possible that we might get Brave and the Bold 2026?
No way.
Which is why Batman 2 was delayed, in my opinion. I think 2029, 2030 is too long to introduce the DCU bats. In my opinion, it's either 2026 or 2028. Comic-Con I will have an answer. I will have an answer to you after Comic-Con's over. That's when I'll have an answer. That's when I'll have an answer. Or no, let me say this. I will have an answer to you after Superman's over. After Superman's done, I think I can make some. I have a couple theories and assumptions that are kind of in the tuck when it comes to Batman, but I want to keep them until after Superman's over because Jerry is going to argue me down to the bone about it, and I just don't have enough.
About what? Sorry.
About just my opinions on Brave and the Bold, but I need Superman to come out first because you can cook me right now off of that assumption, but I might have to retract if Superman doesn't do good. So we'll see. Because I have a thought. A thought.
I'm gonna cook you either way.
I don't think so. I don't think so, Jerry. It's New Year, man. New Year. Also, remember, Zaslav said that he wants the Trinity as soon as possible. I don't see Gunn teasing Batman already in Creature Commandos. Only to wait 2029 for DCU Batman. I am on the same thought process as you. Do you think Thor will be recasting for the MCU? I think they will love Chris Hemsworth, but this is my worry because in the interview he said that he has but Chris Hemsworth also did a second interview saying that like because he's in peak like physique, like it's the chance of him getting that is like when he's like freaking in a chair like in his 80s. So he kind of retracted that. If Beta Ray Bill takes the mantle for Thor, I'm okay with it. I love Beta Ray Bill. I know pass on the mantle never works, but people will love Beta Ray Bill. Hey, just why not have both? The fact Chadwick Boseman was still playing Black Panther while literally dying is a testament to his strength, commitment, and love for his fans. RP Wakanda forever. Facts. Shout out to Chadwick Boseman, real legend. All right, I keep hitting other thing. Okay. Now I want to talk about Mr. Aaron Pierre. So Aaron Pierre talked about his training for GL. He said that he just started training for it. He said he's been doing his research on Green Lantern. Every interview that he's talked about, he said that he wants to do this character right and do it justice. That he's been studying to land the character the best way. So how do you feel about like Aaron Pierre sharing how hard he's putting in the work to learn John Stewart's Green Lantern character?
So I hope that he's also reading the comics. I know he said he is watching the animated shows, which is great, but the animated shows are not source material. The comics are source material, and they have to be prioritized above everything else. I'm not saying that you can't watch the shows. Like I said, it's great that he's watching them. I'm sure they'll help him, but you can't replace source material. So I just hope he's reading the source material.
So here is the direct quote. All right. It says this. He said, this character has always radiated class. He's always radiated charisma, strength, and identity. So I'm very happy to be bringing him to life in the live action context. Next quote. He says this. What's happening now is my homework, my extensive DC homework, and my intense physical preparation. Next quote by him. He said, it's comics, it's film, and it's the TV series as well. It's all of that. It's sort of familiarizing myself with things that I do know and introducing myself to things that I'm starting to learn about. So he is reading. So the good thing is he is reading comics, movies, and TV as well. So I just want to read that direct quote there.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's the kind of guy you want. A guy who's dedicated and does his homework. You know, I think it was Dakota Johnson who like made a comment that like she didn't read the comics for Madam Web. Like if you don't want someone who is just there for the paycheck. You want someone who cares enough to do their homework to excel in the role.
100%. And he's hungry, bro. He's hungry. He just had his one of his big first roles was in this, Mufasa film, but this is first live action role where we can see him. You know what I mean? Like he's the guy. It's not he's in a lion's form and it's just his voice. I think he can be a pivotal character. Honestly, bro, I'll say this: if he lands a role, he could be one of the fan favorites.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, listen, the second people see this guy flying in the air and using his machine gun with the ring. Yeah. If you don't know, like that's John Stewart's thing with the ring. The ring gives you the willpower, whatever you could imagine. The ring conjures a green version of it up, and he uses this like turret-like machine gun, and it is sick. And I'm just telling you, like the fans who don't read the comics, you don't even know. Get ready because you are gonna love Green Lantern, especially with this kid.
Yeah. Do you think that Green Lantern done right in the DCU could be like one of your favorite projects of all time?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I just wish it was a movie. I do think that they're going to do a movie down the line. I think there were a couple things that went into the decision to make it the show. Number one, I think that part of the deal for DC Studios was that they have to make content for Max, and part of that was a live action show. And they want to do this as a series and then launch it as a movie. I also think it's probably a budget thing with WB. But I don't think it was that alone that led them to make this decision. But I do think what's going to happen is that this show is going to come out. It is going to be epic. And kind of like Mandalorian, people are going to go nuts for the movie. And I'm telling you, that Mandalorian movie is going to be $1 billion movie.
Oh, yeah. Do you know something else that someone said on a podcast too? They said, don't be shocked if HBO is funding this.
It's interesting.
Because they were saying that like they were basically saying that like WB doesn't have a lot of money right now, and that HBO is under their umbrella technically.
Well,
And
HBO is Max, number one, and number two, I think, and I could be wrong here, but I think it would make sense that HBO or Max would be funding this.
yeah, exactly.
The project is going to Max, so like, I know in my company, it's like if one, office or region is doing something, they're paying for it, not the West Coast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because a lot of people think that WB's paying for it, and not and the guy was saying like because they were trying to use like that it could be terrible quality. They were trying to say Green Lantern could be a terrible quality show because of the WB funding it, and they have no bread. And basically the guy was like, yeah, but like Max is HBO, and HBO has the money to throw at this, and like they have the bread to give us a great show. And then they were talking about just what they did with Game of Thrones, House of Dragon stuff, but like that.
They can't do this show without strong and heavy VFX.
They need a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would be shocked if this show comes out and we get minimal Green Lantern action.
100%. Well, that would be that would destroy the show.
Exactly. I mean, that's like making a Superman movie without flying. Guys, we couldn't afford flying. All right. Like
AKA Smallville. All right. Last talk of the night. All right. So, what is your gripes with my Joker stuff, man? What is your gripe with me?
So, my gripe with you is that it was such a bad take because, and I asked you when you I asked you how far you got in Scott Snyder Batman, and you said, I forget exactly what you said, but I know, year one and 0 year. So you said 0 year, which means you've read Death of the Family.
Yes.
So first of all, Joker explaining himself is like a lot is important, man. I think that the philosophy of the Joker is one of the things that makes him such a compelling character. It's not just that he's a strategist. It's not just that he's unpredictable. It's that the Joker, he does explain his reasons for going into chaos, and a lot in the comics, and it presents his philosophy in a twisted and theatrical way. And listen, his origin and his reasons for chaos depend on the story, may change, but the Joker, he's explained his reasons for chaos. And I know you mentioned the Killing Joke, but he did it in The Dark Knight Returns, not as philosophical in this one, but his chaos reflected his relationship with Batman. His actions are a way to push boundaries and test Batman's moral code. Then in Death of the Family, which you did read, Joker, he sees chaos as a way to reveal truth by stripping people of their illusions. And specifically in this comic, he claims that his chaotic actions are a way to prove his love for Batman, forcing him to become stronger and more focused. Chaos is not destruction for its own sake. It's a way of reshaping reality to suit the Joker's warped vision. And in The Dark Knight, a lot of comics after explored the idea of the Joker seeing chaos as a way to expose the hypocrisy, fragility of societal order. But the core themes between the Joker and his philosophy, and he explains it a lot in the comics, is that he views chaos as the only constant, and he mocks humanity's attempts to impose order. And then freedom, he believes abandoning rules and embracing madness is liberating. But the Joker uses chaos as a weapon, ultimately, to manipulate others, test Batman, and make broader points about morality and society. And you should know this. That's why I said it. Like, it was a crazy take. And I thought, like, sometimes I think you see things as like black and white when you like or you don't like something. And I think that because it's The Dark Knight and you have this thing against The Dark Knight, like, you just wanted to criticize The Dark Knight and you didn't really think about it. But if you did, like, you just read Death of the Family like recently, and the Joker explained himself. And I have other examples here too. I could get into them, but I think you get the point.
Yeah. So here's my rebuttal. The difference between, there is a difference between when Joker is explaining himself in the comics and when the Joker is explaining himself in the Dark Knight. Like, because I do think that the Joker in the comics and when I read it, that's what clicked in my mind. So like my issue with the Joker is the fact that the Joker did need to have to explain everything, and the Joker does a super long monologue, and I feel like the Joker's need to explain his madness kind of sort of defeats its purpose, because anarchy doesn't always need to have it doesn't need to always have a explanation to why. And like the reason why I felt like the Joker kept explaining things in The Dark Knight was for this validation for his genius to be known. And to me, that felt more of like a Riddler thing than a Joker thing, and I just don't think, and it felt like in The Dark Knight, the Joker was explaining everything to be credited for the moves that he does because he is the Joker, not just because. Versus where when I read the comics, like the Joker does explain himself, but it is not with the intent of wanting everybody to know. He just does it because he wants you to know his next move because he don't care. Versus where the Dark Knight felt like a move. And then because I did rewatch The Dark Knight, kind of got forced to because my dad loves it, so I had to kind of sit there and watch it with him. Was torture, but it's fine. But one of the things that I wish happened, I do wish some of these long monologues came from other people talking about the Joker. Like when you do read comics, there are some really good what's the word, like monologues or writings where people are talking about the Joker, where it kind of builds this mystique about who the Joker is, you know what I mean? And it's like, so when the Joker calls himself, the Clown Prince of Crime, which I love that name, by the way. Hopefully we get that in the DCU or the Batman 2 if they have him in there. Like,
rumor is he's going to be the main villain for the third one.
That would be crazy. But I love how he calls himself the Clown Prince of Crime, but he doesn't really explain why. And from the comics, it makes it feel like that's a name that he got from someone else. Like he doesn't have to explain it. And also, like in The Dark Knight, I also didn't like how the Joker is like leaving clues to who he's going to go after next. It felt more Riddler to me. And then the Joker leaving his card as a fingerprints to showing his next target. Like those were just some of the things that I didn't like. It felt a little too It felt a little too much of a calculation to validate the Joker versus where like the Joker is not really trying to seek validation at all.
So I disagree on the validation piece. Number one, I mean, even in the opening scene, like he killed everyone before he could get any validation, and I don't think that, like, I think the Joker, what he wanted was to prove that he's not as far off from everyone else as they think. And that goes back to the one bad day thing, which is like, a big thing in DC Comics. And it's like, all it takes is one bad day to become one of us. And, the Joker, I don't think he was like the Riddler. I think he was always steps ahead. And I think that like with the cards and the fingerprints, like the second anyone figured out what the hint was, the bomb had already went off. But you said Christopher Nolan ruined the Joker, and now it's like everyone, feels like the Joker needs to explain himself. My point was that's not a Christopher Nolan thing. That's a comic accurate thing. So that's why I thought it was a crazy take. And that's why I thought it was, you're just looking at this Chris Nolan Dark Knight bad. Everything comes from it bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Next episode, I really want to pull the monologue and the panels and show them tip for that, because like that's because when I'm reading it's just not it's not the same as what you say. Like, you know what I mean? So next week we will do a Joker philosophy part 2, because I really want to pull the panels to the actual like monologues and read them to tip for that, because I think just the comic book. Obviously, the comic books do it better, but like it's way different than what you think.
So you're talking about the monologue from Death of the Family?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, with that being said, like, and the other reason why I do think Nolan ruined a lot of things, but tell for another day. But yeah, I think that Nolan did.
Black and white, bro.
Yeah, I think I really do. And I will always champion Nolan for what he's done for comic book films. You can never, drop that.
Well, you did until I forget who it was, me and someone else on the show had to convince you otherwise, and we had to look it up. And
when Feige said he took inspiration from the
yes. So I had to cook you on that with proof. So don't tell me, oh, you can never say, because a year ago you said.
Yeah, after that moment, I'm saying, I changed my mind. And look, I'm open to being wrong, but I'm telling you, man, when Jerry, when I show you this monologue to comic book run, you're gonna be like, okay, I might not agree, but I see your point. But I see your point.
We'll see.
You're going to see it. Watch, you're going to see it. So, all right, we're going to end this here, guys. We hope you guys had a great. We hope you guys have a great week. Content's going on every day. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, blah blah. At Superherocuts and Comic Cuts, we're always put on content. Spectrum Cuts as well. Please like, subscribe, ring the notification.
Yeah, please do that. It helps.
Facts, and peace out, y'all. Peace.